watching the News 6 Network.
We can tell you that the one shot was heard coming from the woods behind the Ponderosa restaurant at about 8 o'clock this evening.
This is a very unusual incident for this community. Someone being shot for no apparent reason and from some type of a stealth position.
Deborah, from the moment that we came out here, I can tell you it was the biggest police presence I have ever seen in Central Virginia.
On October 19, 2002, a terror spree that began 2.5 weeks earlier in Maryland arrived at the doorstep of Richmond. While walking across the parking lot of the Ponderosa Steakhouse in Ashland, a Florida man named Jeffrey Hopper was shot in the abdomen and critically wounded. An attack that bore all the hallmarks of the serial sniper.
We are acting as if it is. We will continue on that mode until we know that it is not.
Days later, assumption becomes reality.
Can and do confirm at this time that the ballistics evidence recovered during our investigation has been matched with the other shooting cases.
I tell you, it was a lot of good police work done.
At the time, Colonel Stuart Cook was the sheriff of Hanover County.
Everybody was on edge. It was frightening times. I mean, as I said, for everybody, law enforcement included.
And he had already started getting ready for the worst, well before John Allen Muhammad and Lee Boyd Malvo showed up in Ashland.
As the shootings continued, it looked like the jurisdictions hadn't had a whole lot of cooperation with each other. So I called Dave and said, Dave, we need to get a plan together for the Richmond metropolitan area, because if a sniper comes, we need to be prepared for it.
Current Hanover Sheriff Dave Hines was Cook's right-hand man.
There wouldn't be any question as to who was going to be in charge where it happened, as well as how many people can we bring in? What assets are we going to bring in?
We only finished that plan like a day before the sniper actually shot the individual at the Ponderosa in the town of Ashland.
Once that happened, Cook became the head of a newly formed Richmond Area Sniper Task Force.
We were descended upon not just by law enforcement. We had the national media down there, and that was a big mess.
And he made it known his team was going to operate differently.
We weren't going to do what they were doing in Northern Virginia. That if we have something to give you that will help us clear this case and put the citizens at ease, we're going to give it to you. But until then, we're not coming back out here and talking to you every 30 to 45 minutes just to have a dog and pony show.
The task force mission: solve the Ponderosa case and protect the community from another attack. Top of mind for everyone, the safety of schools and children.
Because our kids were afraid, because they were afraid because of the reaction that their parents were having, and it was warranted.
So Cook prioritized boots on the ground police work, which received almost immediate praise.
The sheriff's leadership has been critical to this investigation. Everyone has been very impressed with the prompt response and investigative expertise demonstrated by you and your people.
Case in point, the way they handled the Ponderosa scene.
One of the things that we were most keen and most concerned about was the integrity of the crime scene and the protection and chain of custody of the evidence. And our men with the town of Ashland sealed that crime scene down like that.
From the bullet shell casing to a letter from the snipers that had been found tacked to a tree. The evidence found outside the Ponderosa would prove critical to solving this case and later prosecuting Muhammad and Malvo. That's why Cook and his deputies processed everything.
You had the FBI coming down from D.C., the Secret Service, DEA, all of those people were coming, but we wouldn't let them into the crime scene.
A decision he says rubbed some federal agents the wrong way, but something he knew was the right call.
Investigators actually flew on the helicopters up to those respective labs with the evidence. They signed it over to them. There was never a question about who had it, how was it handled, and so that really prevailed in court in later cases.
2 decades have now passed since the Ponderosa shooting, but Cook and Hines still vividly recall how their deputies and their community responded with vigilance and gratitude.
Everybody was saying, thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. They were thanking law enforcement officers for shutting an interstate down because that was the fear that had gone across the entire East Coast.
Exactly 2 years after the attacks, the United States Department of Justice released reports detailing the lessons learned from the sniper investigation. Colonel Cook's task force received high marks for how they handled the evidence and for how they worked with the media on scene. In Ashland, John Burkett, CBS 6 News.